I'm going on a pagan pilgrimage around the world. Why a pagan pilgrimage, you might wonder? When I was a kid, I was born very close to a town that is full of folklore and stories, and these stories always fascinated me. I remember one in particular, and that is when my father told me that for St. John's night, if you went underneath a fig tree with a guitar and you didn't know how to play it, the devil himself would show up and teach you how to. Of course, I mean, it sounds really like this could not be possible, but this story fascinated me. I felt as if I wanted to investigate. I wanted to go to the fig tree for St. John's night and see if this was true. I wanted to investigate this place by myself. And this was only one of the many stories that my relatives told me, mainly because in our town many people told stories of the supernatural. So I grew up surrounded by nature, all folklore and tales of the supernatural, something that's followed me my whole life. I grew up very close to the forest, and my best friend was my neighbor. She would come to my house and we would go and play in the forest, and we would imagine that fairies will show up and show us a secret world, something that we will be able to explore, and that we will spend a week with the fairies or something like that. Our imagination was very vivid back then, and I remember these play dates as something very, very happy, as a very happy moment of my childhood. I remember that my mom, though, was a Jehovah's Witness, so she did not let me investigate anything that had to do with the occult. And of course, in a sense, like a little bit trying to be rebellious, I bought some tarot cards. I hid the tarot card from her. I started reading the tarot cards with my neighbor again. And also, I remember we used to grab encyclopedias, and the encyclopedias usually have a section of old mythology. So Egyptian mythology was my favorite. I remember that I dressed for Cleopatra for my first Halloween, I think, and also Greek mythology was my favorite. There was also something very interesting, and if you are Latin American, especially if you are from Argentina or Chile, you may be familiar with the channel that was called, I don't know if it's still going around, it was called Infinito. And at Infinito you would find documentaries about fairies, documentaries about unicorns, about goblins, and about ghost stories and unsolved mysteries. This was my favorite. And also you would have some yoga as well. And I would be stuck to this channel every day, almost all day, sometimes with my cousins, sometimes with my neighbor. And these are very happy memories from my childhood. So when I was at high school, I met a girl that told me she was a Wiccan. We became very, very good friends. Basically, she explained to me that she believed in the old gods, the old traditions, and the esoterics and all of this. And this really resonated with me. We became great friends, and when I entered university, I decided to study English. And because of that, I had the opportunity to read many more books about Wicca, paganism in general, and the esoteric. This sparked my interest, and this really prompted me to one day, maybe, it's very impossible back then, that I would be able to travel to all of these places, or just being there and just, I don't know, meditating there or something. I was very fascinated about that. Also, after when I entered university, I decided to join a Viking reenactment group. And when I joined this Viking reenactment group, I realized that many people kind of share my beliefs in the natural world, in the old pagan traditions from different parts of the world. And this made me really happy because I thought that I had finally found my people. I also formed a Celtic band because I play the fiddle, and we would play music that was inspired by this pagan folk movement. So bands like Faun, the German band, Omnia, and a couple of others that will spark our interest and kind of like compose and play things that were from this perspective. Around the same time, I encountered this movie that you may have watched that is called The Mists of Avalon. The Mists of Avalon is a reimagining of the Arthurian legend that is based on the premise that Avalon is the modern Glastonbury. So, with this movie, I realized that I needed to go to these places and experience this by myself. I wanted to go there. I wanted to see, just feel the places over there. And also, I watched this other movie that is called The Wicker Man. The Wicker Man is an all-time classic. It's a horror movie that is fantastic with Christopher Lee, and it shows the Isles of Scotland. So, in my mind already, I was studying English, and I watched these movies, and I knew that I had to go to England first. I moved abroad. I left Chile about a year and a half ago, and I moved to Germany. Moving to Germany opened many doors, especially for European traveling. People here love to travel as well, so I got to hear a lot of stories about people that have been actually to these places. My first pilgrimage per se was to Delphi. I went to Greece, and while in Athens I knew that I had to visit this place because the old oracle was here. And that's what I did. I went there, and while there I felt a deep emotional connection. I felt like myself. I felt like I was just taken out of my body, and I just was present. Was in that moment I felt present. I felt very emotional as well, and I felt as if I had gone back in time, that I was finally in a place that made me feel as if I was part of it just by being human. Like time did not, like time stopped there. And I knew I had to visit more places like this. So my second experience was in Stonehenge, which is one of the most famous, I would say, pagan or maybe ancient astronomy observation place. And over there I felt this connection with nature. I remember I laid down and took my shoes off, meditated a little bit, and when I opened my eyes I realized, wow, I'm in Stonehenge. I mean, I had been meditating and I totally forgot I was there because I was so present in the moment. It felt amazing. When I was in the gift shop, I found this book, this treasure, and it contains 650 sacred places of the UK. And they are separated by actually different themes like Norse and Anglo-Saxon mythology, Christianized pagan sites, Celtic saints, mermaids and other ocean spirits, for instance, over here. And the place shows a map of the UK, and it includes all of these places that I always wanted to visit, and even more. It gave me even more ideas. So with 650 places listed, I knew I had found my calling. I had to experience these places firsthand, not only in the UK but around the world. So to introduce this series, this is a long-term project with a lot of emotional significance for me. I would like you to join me on my journey and that we go together and explore the world. If you're interested to see what these places are like, comment down below if you have any recommendations as well, because I'm going to be on the lookout. I'm always on the lookout. I have all these places from the UK, but I would love to know about places around Europe, and which is what where I am right now, but not only Europe, but also around the world. So if you have any recommendations from your country, please let them know in the comments down below, and subscribe to see what's coming.